Hi, welcome everybody to this month's Brynka Beacon Scheduling Tips for Mail Centers. So today we're going to learn how you can use the free Microsoft Teams Shifts app to schedule staff and student workers for your mail center. And we're also going to give you the opportunity to share any scheduling tips that you have with all of our listeners. So if there's anything you would like to share, feel free at any point to go ahead and type that into the chat, and we will share your tips with all of our listeners as well. So next up, we're going to tell you a little bit about the Brynka Beacon. This is a free webinar provided quarterly, and it's a forum for sharing ideas for those that work and manage mail centers. So we invite you now to listen, learn, and participate. We will have our chat open. If at any point you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat, and we'll be answering those as we go through the presentation. So today on the Brynka Beacon, we have the Brynka team, myself, Jennifer Young. I'll be your host of today's webinar, and Brenda Fick, the president and co-host of today's webinar. Welcome, Brenda. And now we're going to introduce our speaker today. So the topic again is scheduling tips for mail centers. This is presented by Catherine Nelligan from SUNY Oneonta. And a little bit about Catherine. She's currently the manager of mail and receiving and supply at SUNY Oneonta. She has been in this position for almost 8 years. Prior to this, she was the catering director for Sodexo at SUNY Oneonta for 7 years. She graduated from Paul Smith College in 2006 with her Bachelor of Science in Hotel, Resort, and Tourist Management. Catherine made the career change soon after her son was born because she wanted something that was more suitable for her growing family. She is now a single mom to Addison of 7 and Easton, who is 8. And the latest addition to the family, if you logged in early, you might have heard us chatting about Tiny, her new St. Bernard puppy. So she loves spending time with her family, and they've also taken on a new hobby during COVID-19 of model railroading and rail fanning. So if you have any questions about that, you should put them in the chat too. She had and still has a lot to learn about this industry and is very grateful for all of the connections she's made through ACOMS and NACOMS. She attended her first ACOMS conference in June 2016 and has been to all of them ever since. She attended her first NACOMS conference in July 2019 in Orlando, Florida, and she currently holds the treasury position for ACOMS. So welcome, Catherine. We're so excited to have you and share this insight with us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. I'm going to share my screen now.
I'm going to stop and you can start. There you go.
Okay. All right, so thank you all for being here. I'm glad that Brynka reached out to have me talk more about this. I'm very excited. I love this Microsoft Shifts app, but I want to say, so before we went with Microsoft Shifts, we were using this When to Work software. And I wish I had either one of these softwares when I was managing the catering department before the mailroom, because scheduling was crazy for that too. And I use this software for scheduling all of our students. We have 15 student workers right now between 2 locations. So When to Work was a great solution and it worked for what we had. So if anyone doesn't have Microsoft Teams available to them, this is another option you can have. It's a great software, it's inexpensive, and it also has an app they can download on their phone. I think it was like $200 a year for us to have it. But when COVID hit and budget cuts came, we had to look at every little purchase we made. So I recall going to the NACOMS conference, and I have to give a shout out to Dawn Burgess from Utah State, because she was the one that she did a roundtable discussion on Microsoft Shifts. And I was there for it, but at the time I didn't have a need for it. So now that we were challenged with our budget, this was an opportunity for us to use a software that was already available to us and not cost any extra money. So this is the Teams app, and in here to get started with the shifts, first of all, you can download the Shifts app by going in here to search the apps available within Teams, and you would search Shifts. I have that already downloaded right here. So you want to start with a team. You want to form a team to begin with. So we're going to start a team for our Brynka Beacon. We're going to make it staff. So here we're going to name our team, and our description is going to be to learn. And this is a private team. And when I hire students, I always tell, I email them to join the team by doing this. So I'm going to email Andy Carr. I don't know if he made it on the call or not, but we're going to have him join this team. And then we'll get another member in here as well, another one of my employees. And this is how you add them. So as you hire students, you're going to add them to your team. And they will get an invitation and an email invite to accept the team. So once you have that, then you want to go to shifts. And in shifts, so you can see I have my Dragon Express team. And here are some other teams that I have created. So we need to go back here and manage our team. We have 2 members already, and we need to, this is how, does everyone already use, you can't talk back to me, Cammy, they're muted. Microsoft.
Ask them to type in the chat and I can share their
Okay.
responses.
Is everyone familiar with Teams? If I'm going too fast too, please let me know. But under shifts, we want to, whoops, I got this my way. We want to view our teams. And down here, down below, you'll see where it says a new schedule. So I'm going to create a new schedule for Brynka Beacon. That's where we go here. There we go. And you can confirm your time zone. And now you can see I'm creating a new schedule for Microsoft Shifts. So in here, now I need to add people from my team. So if you think that you need to go in here and you just hired someone brand new and you can't figure out why they're not showing up here, you have to add them to your team first. So it shows here that these people are already on my team and now I need to add them to my schedule.
So just an update, Catherine, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Sure.
So we have 2 people are a little bit familiar with Teams, but so we don't have any.
Still new to the, okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to close that out. So now once you do the initial setup, then it's just managing the app from there. But it's great because from here, say we have a shift, if Andy is a student worker and I need to put in his class schedule, I'm going to add time off for him and say that he has class from 8 till 10 in the morning on this day. And I'm going to change this to off and save that. So you can see that he needs that time off, but Aaron has, class on Tuesday. We're going to say off. I'm going to show you how we can change it. 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And you can see that. And you see how it has that star by it. That's because this is not being communicated to them yet. The only way they can see what I've done is when I share this schedule. So once I get in a full class schedule, then I will plug in what I need for hours for people. And let me go back a step here under settings. So you want to go into settings real quick. So here's where I can customize different requests off. So I know I'm never going to have parental leave here on campus or unpaid leave by students. I would add class because that's our main one that we give them time off for. There's also a time clock in this where you can set up that students can punch in and out for their shift, and it records it. And there's also, which is really cool, that it can detect where they are when they punch in. So you have to enter the coordinates to your building that you are. And if you click on this, it does tell you how to. You have to go to Bing, put in the address, and down below it'll give you the GPS coordinates to activate the time clock. So that's really handy. Like a student can't clock in from their room and then walk up to work and then think they're going to get paid for it. So if you go back here to the schedule, so then I would go through and I would add a shift. So say I wanted to add a shift for Andy to work from 8 till 12 o'clock. But I wanted him to come in and work on, he's going to be at the register. I can put that in there in the notes so he could see that he's going to be on register that day. We've also done it where you can add a shift in, keep the 8 to 12, which is handy, and add a shift note, register. So then you can see the difference there is that I can see the time 8 to 12 and he's on the register. And then once I share this with the team, they will see that they will get a notification from the app saying that you have hours scheduled for this week. You can also copy this schedule over. So it starts on the 24th. I'm going to copy it to May 1st one time, which is very handy for a class schedule. Now, I don't go ahead and I don't do the whole semester at one time because so many things change, whether someone changes a class or they pick up another job. Week by week, everything changes. And my students do request a lot of time off, whether they have a field trip or they're going home. So the schedule does change. I try to keep it consistent, but it does change on a weekly basis. But now you can see that I have already copied that over. So now I can go through and massage it as needed and look at any time off requests. I'm going to show you the Dragon Express schedule here in a minute because it's a lot more in depth. I do want to show you the, let's see if what the app looks like for the students. So if I do this. Okay, so this is the email that the student or whatever member it is that you're asking to join their team. This is the MOC team that I created before to show as an example. And they would have to accept that. So when you hire a new student, I'm going to invite you to this Microsoft Teams and make sure they download the Shifts app. Once they have the Microsoft Teams app, I'm sorry, it's a Teams app, you're going to go down here to more and you can add shifts to it. So within shifts, now you can see that I scheduled myself for a 2 to 11 shift for tonight. That's what this is the view when it's on your shift. I'm gonna get my laser pointer here. This is what it looks like. And then if I click on my team shifts, I can see everyone working today. This is everyone working. This is their grade out is their class time. And this is when they're scheduled. If you go back, this is like the home screen. So if I go to time clock, this is what comes up. Like you can punch in, you can stop it, you can pause it, and it shows how long you've been clocked in for. We do have students that will clock in, forget to clock out. Next time they come to work, it shows that they work 24 hours. And they can edit that, or we can edit that based on what we had them scheduled. And then when I click on my shift, I have the option, which is great, to swap or offer my shift. Say I can't work anymore. Andy's willing to work for me. So I'm going to click on the swap. And this is what comes up. Like I can choose who I want based on who's on this team. I click Andy and it says you would like to offer this shift. And now as the manager of this team, I have to approve this. And also Andy has to accept it. So this has been very handy where a student will, usually they talk to us first, say, hey, I'm going to do this. Is that okay? And then I know that it's coming and I can accept that request. And then also on that first screen, there was a spot for requests. So because I manage the team, I can see where I requested time off. I offered Andy a shift. I can also see my students requesting some time off coming up. But if I click on this plus button down below, this window pops up with the swap, offer, or request time off. And I can request time off from here. And then it shows what team I'm on, what day, if I need the whole day or if it's certain time, and if I want to put in a reason. And then that will go to the manager to approve or deny. I'm going to get back out of here.
Catherine?
Yes.
So we do have a question.
Okay.
For those that are attendees, if they use this, how many students do they have, or how many people are in this staff that they use? So you have it for 15, right?
Yes. Yep. 15. Yep. So I'm going to show you. Yeah, you can see the different schedules over here. I'm going to show you the Dragon Express one right now.
So do you have separate teams? You have 15 people. So are there separate teams within those 15 people?
Well, I'll tell you, so we have two different locations. So I have the Dragon Express location that I keep them all under one, but there's a way to organize it within that one. And then I also have one for my mailroom, which I kind of stopped using because I have a very consistent schedule down here. So I had two student workers down here that I'd keep separate. But within Dragon Express, you can have different categories. So you can see that I have student managers right here. And then down below, I have my student workers. So you can have different categories among your team. And my student managers are the ones that can run the register. And they close, they open, and then I have the student workers. So it's nice when you can look at it and see how many people you need and what area, and they're separated out like this. I don't know if that answers the question, Brenda, but as far as how many people in the team, I don't know what the max is for it. I've never seen like you've had too many, but I have quite a few here. This is a view of our schedule, of our actual schedule for Dragon Express for this week. I want to show you real quick. So when someone requests off, it comes in here to request. So you can see I have a student that's requested off for May 14th, and I just need to approve that. But I want to show you real quick. She requested off for next week. And I haven't copied the schedule over for next week yet, but you can see where this student already requested off. So there's no star there. And then this is a request. So this tells me I need to go in and approve it or deny it. So that I'll go into requests and I'll approve all of her time off here. And it shows all the old ones. This is everything, all the requests off that we get throughout the year. I also, Andy has this up at Dragon Express. He manages the Dragon Express day to day. And I've always tried to tell him that's a lot easier for me. He looks at it for the week point of view. When I do the schedule, I look at it from a day point of view. So you can change your point of view. You can look at the whole month, which I've never done. I have no use for the whole month, but the day view I like to do because then I can sit here and see like, okay, I've got a good overlap here. Like there's no gap of coverage of the register. It looks like I have a 15-minute gap. So I need to make sure Andy's there to cover that. And then down below, how many students do I have? I have no gaps of coverage here. You can see by the blue. So this is all our class schedule. And with managing this many students and this many class schedules, it's great to be able to look at it in this manner. If you look at like a Wednesday, you can see where we fill in with our student managers, and we always have this 15-minute gap here because they have class. And it's also easy, like if they consistently have a meeting from 4 to 5 on a Wednesday, you can put that in here and I'll never schedule them for that time. But then when I'm done with the schedule for the week, I'll look at a full week because then it gives me the total hours. So then I can see like, okay, did I give too many hours to one student and I need to even out the hours? Sometimes not purposely, but like Dan here has 3.5 hours for this week, but he also requested off on Friday, which probably would be the other day he would work. And
One more question. So can students put in their schedule for classes, or do you need to do that?
Students could do it. They could. I've always just done it for them. They could do it as a request time off and then approve it. So that could work. Yeah. I've always just managed it myself and put it in so that way I know it's in there. And I don't have to wait on them to do it. But yes, I try to do the initial class schedule and then I'll show you what I do. So this is the schedule for this week. And on Wednesdays, I always do the schedule. So now I'm going to copy this schedule. So from this week to May 1st, so I'm going to copy everything over. And then I'll go through and make any adjustments. So if I go to next week, oops. you can see where Adrian Matheson has already requested off that day. And you gotta be careful because this request off has a star by it, which means I copied it over from the previous week. So that's an old request I need to delete. So I just click on it and hit the delete button. And it'll warn you that there's conflicts. So she can't work this 12:30 to 12:45 shift. I have to find coverage for that. I was gonna have Liz work this Saturday, but looks like she can't. So I can copy and I can paste that to the other student manager and hopefully she can work. And I'll take her out of there. And then you go through it that way and look. And sometimes, like 1 week we had a project of 1,000 shirts that we had to box up. So I went through the schedule and I added a few extra students just to come in and help with boxes. So you can see, I think it was this week. Oh, we lost power last week, so we didn't have them come in, but right here, I put boxes in the notes. So that way Andy knew they were coming in just to sit there and work on boxes and not log packages. We also, this semester, we've been sharing a student. So MOC means they're coming down to my maintenance operations center, the mailroom down here, to cover down here for a little bit. So the MOC tells us that that person's coming down here. Also, one more thing I did want to show you. So being a state university, they have a timesheet they have to fill out online and submit it. So the way they clock in and out is not the end all for their timesheet. They have to log in and put that in there, but we can double check them and they can double check their punches too. If you go to the clock, you can export the timesheet. And that'll come up. I already exported this. We have it. It comes up as a kind of a messy Excel spreadsheet, but it'll show you over here too if they've clocked in and out in the correct location. False that they did not. Some students may not have I'm wondering if they don't have the GPS location activated on their phone. So maybe that's why it's showing up that way. But what I do is I sort this by the student. So then I can look at just one student at a time and double check their shifts. This is what Andy does every week when he does timesheets every other week to make sure that, if they, it shows their clock in time, and then it shows their shift time of when they actually punched in. Or I'm sorry, when we had them scheduled versus when they clocked in. So 11:02, they were scheduled for 11. Okay, that's good. Sometimes we try to keep the schedule and shifts updated. So if they stay later, we'll go in there and adjust it and change it to 1 o'clock. So say I'm going to go back to my MOC team that I made. Oh, we'll go back to the Brynka one. And I had the shifts in here from this week. So now when I go to share with my team, I can share, you can see the stars on those days. And it's for my affected members only. And I'm going to share that with him. So now Andy was just notified that he has some changes in the schedule. And so is Aaron because of the request off in there. So say it's in the middle of the day or middle of the week. I do the schedule once a week, but we needed to change something for Friday. I could go in here, change it for Friday, add a shift 8 to 12. And then I can share that with just the affected member. It's not supposed to go to everyone. It's supposed to only go to that one affected member. So I'll share that. And now it turns, so it's not the star by it. So it's a shared schedule. I believe that's everything on my list to show you all. I really enjoy this app within Teams. If you do have Teams, I would highly recommend it. And it's just a great way that the students can keep track. I know one thing I struggled with in catering was I did it all on an Excel spreadsheet and I would email it out. But then come the week of, you've already sent that email and you need to make a change. You have to take it upon yourself to notify them. Whereas this, I go in here and make the change and everyone knows. Andy knows, anyone who checks the schedule knows, and it notifies that person that your shift has changed for this day.
Catherine, one more
Sure.
question.
Yes.
I like to post the schedule on the wall here. Is there a way to print daily schedule and place it on the wall?
I have never done that, but there is a print option here. Let's print it to Adobe and see what it looks like. Maybe. We're gonna go down, save. That didn't work. Let me print it. Oh, it's still printing. I've never done that because I've never printed one up on the wall, but I'm sure it would. Scale to one page. Let's see. Okay, there we go. That's the printout of it. So yeah, it does. I mean, it does show the class schedule. So it's probably not as neat, you know, as if it didn't, but it is kind of nice too, because if you want someone to cover your shift and you want to see who's available, well, shoot, they have class at that time, so I can't ask them to cover. And I'm sure there's a lot of features on here that we don't utilize that we could use more. Like I've never really used the app part of it, or the chat, like the team chat. I think I've tried, but no one was really responding to me. Like I tried to communicate to some students on the Teams chat. I've also added on our team, instead of printing out and giving them all a handbook, I put the handbook here. So if anyone wants to access the handbook, they can do that under our team. And that's been handy too. So I'm sure there's a lot more things that I could do with this app. But it's working great the way we have it right now. And yeah, it looks like I just learned something new with the whole print thing.
Try that print again, Catherine. Just try that print again, because I was wondering if there's options to just show those that are scheduled, maybe.
It just wanted me to print. It didn't give me options, but I'm wondering if scale to one page, portrait legal.
All right.
Yeah, it doesn't, because you would think, right, you can only print just the active.
Yeah. Something to put
There
in
is-
help her.
Oh, there's the, I was gonna say maybe if you only showed the actual shifts and not the time off, but I'm sorry, go ahead, Brenda.
Yeah, maybe if you took all those off and just did availability, then you could then print and it would only do, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so I think if you take off the people,
But then it won't.
try printing.
I'll give it a minute now.
I have the same question for printing. Can you change the view, such as remove the class and show only shifts?
Yeah.
That's what we're trying. Hopefully.
Yeah, that would make sense that it would do that. It's still downloading here, so let's see.
Yeah,
That
it
is
still
really
looks like it did everything.
That just removed the categories and made them alphabetical order, so that's kind of nice. It put the students in alphabetical order rather than by category of student manager, student worker. But I don't see there should be a way that you can make it not. Now I gotta remember.
Well, click on open. Let's see.
Missy said to try view by shift.
All right.
Go all the way down to, there you go. Up a little bit more. Under people right there.
This is a weird view because it shows you how many people are assigned to that shift. So it puts your shift over here. I don't know what that would be for printing.
And Olga says, it appears that the filter option allows the view to change.
It does, right? Is that what they were saying? Was that a question or a statement, right? It changes how it's viewed. Let's see. So it changes it so you see, this is a really weird. It shows you the shifts and how many people you have during those shifts. So in a perfect world where you had set times, you know, like if you were scheduling for a retail operation, or if you did have set times every day in your operation, you could see how many people you have filling in those times. But our schedule changes based on their class schedule, and their request for time off. So
How
that's,
often do you change that schedule? They're every.
well,
there's-
it's funny.
How do you get
They,
it?
I mean, my students do complain that it changes every week, but I do it week by week, and I try to be consistent with it. I try to keep it the same. But when, you know, when I have one student that requests off, and then the other student, you know, is available to work that shift, I have to put them in that shift. And then they'll say, well, I never work on Tuesdays. Well, so-and-so needed the day off, so I had to put you on there. So every week it changes. And also, like, obviously in the beginning of the semester, we have so many packages coming in that I'm going to load everyone up with hours. And I tell them, like, as the semester goes through, you know, you'll have less and less hours, and it's not based on your performance, just strictly based on that we don't have the volume to justify that many people in.
So just to let everyone know, we are recording this and it will be on our Brynka Beacon page so that you will be able to download this and fast forward and look at exactly what is here for you to view. So hopefully, Warren, did that answer your question? He's asking for a screenshot
So
reprint.
I think he was saying that another option would be they could take a screenshot and then print it.
Oh, I see. That's true.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Honestly, I
Warren.
mean, everyone is so, you never see them without their phone. So if they have the schedule available to them right on their phone, be that for students anyways. I don't know if it's printed out for the supervisors to look at quickly, but yeah, it is nice that they always have that with them at all times. And usually if I make a change and it's the next day, I'll make sure I text them and say, hey, is this okay? Can you do this? And then I'll make the change in there. I won't just automatically throw them into a shift without making sure with such short notice.
Catherine, I noticed there was a swap shift feature.
Yes.
Can the students just find another student and swap a shift with them? And then do you have to approve that, or does that just go through if they're both okay with it?
That, I believe that's a setting that I have set up from the very beginning. Yeah, so here, if they click on the swap shift, or I guess if they don't know if anyone could take it, they could put out offer. But you could select the team member, and then I have it set up so I have to approve it, because I want to know, like, there are some times where if I have a student manager and they're getting a student worker to cover their shift, well, then I have no one to cover register because they're not trained on the register. So certain scenarios we definitely want to keep our eyes on and approve them. I believe that's a setting from the beginning that they would have to, that you get to approve those. So here, allow employees on this team to view and request open shifts on the schedule. I have that off, and maybe I should turn that on, because I know I just had a student text me and she can't work this weekend. She could offer her shift and see who wants it. And I would have to approve it. But yeah, you can customize your view of as to what day of the week you want to start. And I didn't know if this would have anything to do with the screen printing, but it doesn't seem that way. Yeah, Jennifer, I want to say that was something I set up, but it may not be. I don't know. I mean, I like knowing that that's coming and not wondering that student just shows up and I didn't know they switched. But yeah, it's a great software, and I don't know if all campuses have Microsoft Teams though, but I can stop sharing now. Any other questions, thoughts? I'd be curious to see what other people do as well.
Yeah, Warren mentioned they use when I work and changes our moment to moment on the screen.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I like too that I can share it as I want to. I could sit there and play with it, and then not everyone's seeing what I'm doing until I click share this.
Very good. Any other questions? Go ahead and post them in the chat. Okay, it looks like we don't have any other questions. So thank you very much, Catherine, for doing that Brynka Beacon for us today. I think that was really helpful for managers within mail centers to have some options as far as scheduling their workers and student workers. And we want to thank all of you for attending. Don't miss the next Brynka Beacon. The date for that will be coming up the end of September. And I just saw one more thing in the chat here. Oh, a thank you from Troy. So thank you for that message. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss a Brynka Beacon in the future, you can go ahead and go to brynka.com. You can click on contact us and you can sign up for updates, and that will put you on a list to make sure that you get all of these free webinars that we put out and the topics that are going to be covered. So we also want to thank Brenda Fick for sponsoring this Brynka Beacon today. And if you have any questions for Catherine that you think of at a later date, you can go ahead and email info@brynka.com and we'll make sure Catherine gets those questions and get those answers for you. So thanks everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.